One of the women who tried talking to him directly was named Zelda Perkins. She was an assistant in Harvey Weinstein's London office. She was 25 years old at the time. She says her boss, the head of the studio, Harvey Weinstein, had been subjecting her to inappropriate requests and comments and harassment. She was 25. She was an assistant at the company. He was the tippy-top boss. And she confronted him. She told him to stop or else. According to the New York Times, Zelda Perkins told Mr. Weinstein she would go public or initiate legal action unless he changed his behavior. In response, Weinstein's company sprung into action. Soon after this 25-year-old assistant confronted Weinstein directly, one of the entertainment lawyers from the company, Miramax, got sent over to London to offer Zelda Perkins a settlement. Here, the company will pay you money to make this go away. That was 1998. That's one way to make this stuff go away. Well, how about not just taking it up with Harvey Weinstein? How about taking it up with the company, directly, in writing, formally? A young executive at the company, a young woman, had seen other employees coping with and quitting the company for years because of Weinstein's alleged behavior. She said she had her own experience of it as well. She wrote it up in scorching detail. The Times reports that the memo made it to the board of directors at the company. One board member insisted that a lawyer outside the company should look into these allegations, see if they're true. But then, no. Instead of anybody investigating the allegations, they paid her a cash settlement and sent her out the door. At least 8 women got cash settlements, according to the Times' reporting. Most agreed to confidentiality clauses to keep them quiet about the things they said they knew about Harvey Weinstein. Eventually, at least one accuser, a young model, tried talking to the cops. That woman says she was groped by Weinstein in 2015. She went straight to the nearest police station. The police wired her. They put a recording device on her and sent her back to meet with him again. She then recorded a conversation with Weinstein in which he seems to have continued to harass her. And he seems to have explained his groping her the day before. That tape went back to the cops. The police took that tape recording and then nothing. Local authorities dropped the case. So go to Harvey Weinstein himself, go to the company, go to the police. Well, finally, how about going to the press? We had Ronan Farrow on the show last night. He published a long piece in The New Yorker that pushed the story further along this week. Also published the audio recording that we just described. Ronan told us last night that those tactics to keep those victims quiet didn't stop when women left the company. In the course of reporting out his story, Ronan says victims he talked to got harassing phone calls from Weinstein's lawyers to try to keep them from talking to him. One of those harassing phone calls had a very dramatic effect. One source Ronan Farrow spoke with was threatened with legal action if she spoke on the record. She withdrew from the piece after having previously been willing to use her name. Ronan Farrow says he himself was threatened with a lawsuit from Weinstein during the course of the reporting. We know that's also true of the New York Times, which was first to report out the decades of sexual harassment allegations against Weinstein. When that bombshell story dropped on Thursday, it opened up just this incredible spigot of stories from Weinstein's alleged victims that is still flowing today. And this story from the Times, this first on-the-record account of Weinstein's alleged abuse toward women spanning decades, all along it has been a story about his alleged abhorrent behavior and about his victims. For the record, Weinstein has denied any allegations of non-consensual sex, denied any allegations of retaliation against women for refusing his advances. The board of his company has denied any knowledge of his alleged conduct. But beyond just the record of the alleged behavior, this, in an ongoing way, is a story about, time after time, women coming forward for years, finding all sorts of different ways to raise red flags. And all the different ways they were silenced, paid off, and bullied into going away. Until finally, that stopped working. Joining us now for the interview is Jodi Kantor, New York Times investigative reporter. She broke this story last week and had another big story about him yesterday. Jodi, congratulations.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
How come you were able to break this story after so many years of so many different people trying to and failing to get this to print?
Well, I can't talk about anybody else's reporting, but I can talk a little bit about ours. First of all, the Times has had a huge commitment to sexual harassment reporting this year. We did the Bill O'Reilly story, we did the Silicon Valley stories, and so we felt like we had a lot of experience and we had a playbook in how to figure these stories out. Also, I think the fact that we reported so hard on settlements really helped us because we were able to find the legal and the financial trail that became almost like the ladder we were climbing in the story. Normally what settlements do, which you just beautifully described, is that they hush people up, right? They involve using money to make things go away. But we found that there was that legal and financial record that said, hey, something happened here. It's not a conviction in a court of law, but a lot of money was paid to a lot of women over these years, and there's some sort of trail. So even though in these stories we of course always want brave women who will go on the record, we also want a lot of other forms of proof. We want the internal company memos you just described, we want as many settlement accounts as we can get, and we want the women speaking personally about what they experienced. Because in a way, our story was not only about the harassment allegations, it was about the cover-up of those allegations again and again.
And which makes it a corporate story, which makes it a systemic story, but also makes it, you're sort of unraveling the playbook about how these things get hidden, not just in the entertainment industry, but in all sorts of industries, whenever you're talking about powerful people being accused of these kinds of things.
The system seems so broken because settlements are kind of our society's way of dealing with sexual harassment. But settlements mean, these confidentiality clauses mean that the women who have these allegations can't tell anybody about what happened.
Right.
They can't warn other people. Whereas the people who are accused of harassment, they get to pay money and the record is wiped clean.
Yeah, and it's not their money that's being paid.
It's not even that much money. If you look at what we were able to find that Weinstein paid to these women over the years, it's like $80,000, $100,000. This is compared to movies that were making hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office.
Jodi Kantor, can you stay right there for a second?
Yes.
We'll be right back with Jodi Kantor right after this.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.